All right. We're back in Atlanta at the Global Podcast Studios. And we got a great show here for you today. We're talking all things cybersecurity, but today's topic is very timely. It's not just security in the school system, but it's cybersecurity. And we've all heard the headlines about cybersecurity attacks in businesses and in the retail sector. But we're going to talk about education systems. And we have the expert, the guru, the man, the dude, the Dos Equis man of cybersecurity live in our studio, Mr. Dewayne Hart. Welcome to the show.
I'm trying to stop laughing.
Yeah, I saw you. It's good thing it's not video. Yeah, you can pull it. You can make that happen with a podcast. Yeah. Speaking of video, so you've been doing all things in terms of your book is on the rise and has gotten lots of sales in that category. Your YouTube channel has always been very prominent, but you've started doing live stream on YouTube now, right? How's that been going for you?
I want to be a TV star.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly. You're working your way there.
So these live streams are going well because they're designed to focus on helping people channel their careers in the cybersecurity market. You know, much of the conversations that we have about some of the solutions and some of the challenges and issues in cybersecurity with the technologies, you and I take care of those through the podcast.
Right. Yeah.
You're a cybersecurity guru.
Yeah, I'm going to write a chapter in your book. I can't write a whole book about it, but yeah, I'll write from the user experience. And
I got a name for that.
All right,
I got a serious name for that chapter. Does the hacker's hat fit?
Oh, I like that. Yeah, because there's adjustable hat size. Do you get a custom one? You got my wheel spinning, but we got to stay focused here. Yeah. So we got a limited amount of time. Let's talk about, as I mentioned at the top of the show, this is about cybersecurity and the hackers, as you mentioned, in the school system. So talk to us about, in the last couple of years, what's been on the short list.
Well, so let's look at it from the high level.
Okay.
What does colleges offer to the community? Education.
Right.
How is education now taken advantage of? It's through online access.
Right.
It's through sitting at home with your computers. Because now we're in this age where we're in post-COVID.
Right.
And most colleges and a lot of colleges really transition to more online, online type of services offered. And now what happens is that they're seeing that probably with these online services, we can attract more students, because everybody wants to go to school from home. So with that said, underneath all of the changes is a serious situation, and it's called cybersecurity. And, I just want to say that it's a serious concern because we're dealing with information and we're dealing with data and we're dealing with someone that is located in a remote location and logging on to a server that is probably located 500 miles away. And in between that, we don't know who is, standing there or sitting somewhere with the laptop trying to intercept.
Yeah, ready to attack.
Yes.
So you mentioned stats and some numbers. Let me give you some stats from a recent article here. So it's since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, most schools have returned to a fully integrated in-person learning environment. But for a lot of the damaging effects from those last couple of years, while we were all kind of, being sent home and so forth, 67, according to this article, 67 separate ransom attacks impacted almost 1,000 schools and colleges, putting at risk personal data of almost 1 million students. That's pretty some scary statistics, right?
It is scary. It's facts.
Right.
It's facts. But what I would like to say is that one of my talking points for cybersecurity is that let's just for a minute move away the type of organization or agency that we are dealing with. Let's just say if it's not a school.
Right.
And let's just look at cybersecurity, for what cybersecurity is all about. Let's just look at cybersecurity only.
Okay.
And if we do that, there are some standards that need to be followed, but you have to institute those standards across the different platforms. The different platforms are colleges, banks, hospitals, maybe your utility plants.
Right.
All right. So the foundation to cybersecurity should always be in place, but how you use them based on the technology that you have in place at these different platforms makes a difference on whether you fail or you succeed. Now with colleges, see, it's unique because you have a training environment and you have portals and you have online access.
Right.
And not all the students that are going through these programs are working in technology. Maybe only probably, I would say, about 10 to 15% of the students are studying technology.
Exactly.
So the other students are either studying business or some type of
liberal arts and social and the basic math, reading, and so forth. But yeah, they're not in the technology space.
Right. So they're not in the technology space. So what has to happen is that I always state this, is that the cybersecurity mindset works in millions of domains.
Right.
And what the individual would have to do is to learn that the standard to making cybersecurity operate is to invoke a thinking process. And see, that thinking process is saying that, hey, we are in a school system, but there's standards we need to follow like everybody else follow.
Right.
Because what I hate the most about the cybersecurity industry is that there's always a conversation about which industry is hit the most.
Right, exactly, yeah.
All industries are susceptible. Okay.
And the most important industry is your industry, whatever you're in.
Yes.
So no offense, but like if another industry, the retail sector, and if you're not in that space, it doesn't concern you. But if you're in the school system and you're responsible for kids, whether they're, middle school, because now computers are being issued to, elementary schools. We just think, not just high schools, right?
Yes.
Let me ask you this question. Who do you think is more susceptible in terms of cybersecurity within the school system, the high school or the college? I'll give you my viewpoint on it, see if you subscribe to it or not, right? So I think potentially you could argue both sides of this, but on one hand, the college, because they're more independent, there's no parents overlooking, and they're more likely to kind of use their school quote computer for other applications besides homework, what they should be using it for, right?
Well,
so they're more, and again, they're in a different mindset. They're not as mature. Now, the high school kids, in theory, their parents, if they're, we'll talk about this later, if they're instructed by the school system, the do's and don'ts of their computer, they're being potentially more monitored, right? So which is safer, or which one do you subscribe to? Why?
Well, I have two different things to talk about. One is digital parenting.
Right, yeah.
Digital parenting is focused on the younger group of students.
Right.
The second thing that I like to focus on is that who has access to the most data.
Okay, that's a good point.
Okay, so when we look at this scenario,
right,
the youth don't have access to much data as the college students do.
Right.
Because college students have access to a lot of data, and it's personal data for the colleges. They have to put their Social Security numbers online, and a couple other informational things have to be shared. And you're dealing with other people, email addresses.
Right.
It's a couple other things that could fall into that area of data protection, but college students have access to more data, and the more access you have to data, then that's the more need of cybersecurity.
That I subscribe to that. That makes sense. So, what do you figure has changed in the last couple of years related to? It used to be all homework was done with a book, and not much technology was involved. The only technology was more the record keeping of the school system, right? But now that we're opening the floodgates to everybody giving access to that, where are some potential, challenges, and what are some solutions to that?
I pretty much like to look at it from three levels.
Okay.
The first level is that we have remote access. Okay. Most people now are using online portals to gain information to their college classes or whatever, right? So you think about the number of people that use remote access. 50 years ago, everybody was in the classroom.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when it comes to data, people now do not go into their closet and pull that shoebox out, right?
Right.
And see what they've written down on a sheet of paper.
Yeah.
All that information is saved on a server somewhere.
Right.
And these colleges are saving information. Even from 9, maybe 10 years ago when someone used to go to the college or pretty much, was a student there, that information is still saved in a repository.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
So when it was a paper trail, it's a paper trail.
Right.
And it was locked up somewhere. Now that third level that I think has changed over time is that we are in an age now where people feel more comfortable working from home and working remotely.
Right.
So their mindset has shifted from the presence of an office to the presence of being at home.
Right.
In the midst of all of this, we always like to say, okay, what type of mindset needs to be in place? Because you're not in an office anymore. You can't take your laptop and open up the window.
Unless you're on a PC using Windows,
Yeah, you can't do that.
Right. So in terms of cyber attacks, ransom. Now in the article they mentioned that there were ransomware attacks, but I don't know. We've heard some stats about businesses being held hostage, whatever, right? But is there any indication that school systems have been susceptible to that as well?
You know what? I would say yes.
Yeah.
Because I would never, ever try to downplay or shortchange cybersecurity.
Right.
Right. Ransomware can happen anywhere. And if you think about college students, and let's just look at the mindset of a college student.
Okay.
I need to do my homework.
Good luck on that one. Yeah.
Okay. I need to do my homework.
Right.
And they log onto that computer and they realize that there's a ransomware attack.
Right.
But they have to give up $25.
Right.
Okay, because they can't get to the portal.
Okay.
So if they buy into that and give up the $25, then they can get their class work done. Now,
but that opens Pandora's box. Next time it's 50 or whatever, right?
Yes, it's 50, right? But you would think about the number of students that are pretty much under that system.
Right.
It can be very, very smaller things as to a ransomware goes to a college,
right,
and locks down its servers.
The whole university. Now right.
You have 10,000 students out there that cannot obtain information for their classes, and students say, okay, well, since I can't start the class, then I want my money back. Okay, because they don't spend their money to start the class. And
the onus was on the university to protect. Right? Yeah. And we think about access to their data, but as simple as their email, because most college kids are issued a email tied to the university.
Yes.
Right. And so are there recommendations for putting contingency options in place? So you should have redundant servers with all that same data, but not tied together. And on a daily basis, whatever, do they kind of clone that to another server? What are some real world applications to kind of get one step ahead of the hackers?
Okay.
Right.
I'm going to bring up a term. It's called PTC.
Okay.
Policy, training, and continuous monitoring.
Yeah.
Policy means that the college has a policy out that's strong.
Right.
That states how you're going to treat the university systems. Okay. All right. 2 is you have to train people on those particular standards.
Right.
Honestly. 3 is you have to have a continuous monitoring program in place where you have eyes and ears constantly ongoing and watching what is really going on. Because I don't know if a lot of colleges have a security operational center that monitors their online portals.
Right.
Most of the security operational centers are pretty much concerned about trying to manage the internal systems that the college own, or like all the professors use and the dean uses, for the professional use, not the student use. So the question goes, is that are these colleges really monitoring the students? Because if you think about a major college that actually has 10,000 students that are remote.
Right, yeah.
Okay. And you
There's
have
10,000 possible different scenarios, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to really think about the way that you protect that data. And, part of it is that most colleges are probably using a VPN tunnel so that their students can log on. That's kind of the way I think it may work. But it still goes back to PTC.
Right.
PTC will save you. Okay, policy, training, and your continuous monitoring. And your continuous monitoring is kind of going into the question that you pose.
Right.
Is that what type of software applications and all the technologies that you have in place, and making sure that they are operating.
Yeah, you could kind of encapsulate that. What's your protocol?
Yes.
Right. You have to have a playbook, just like you have a curriculum for your class throughout the year. You need to have written down in writing a plan. Here's what we're doing on a daily basis, monthly, quarterly, to kind of check in. But also, and then the training is to educate the professors, the students, the staff, and so forth. So much like you've talked about the military application, and in business, everybody should have that, wear that hacker's hat, have that mindset, right? Throughout. So, you talked about in the last episode about the military and being the first line of defense.
Yes.
Right.
See,
so that should be implemented at the university and the high school level as well, right?
Playbook and resource guides equals the cybersecurity mindset.
Yeah, and security.
Right. Now,
equals security in your system as best you can do. There's no magic pill, whatever, right? But if you're not taking proactive steps on it and don't have a process in place, just like in business, you can't just wing it, right?
Wow, dude, man. Well, you sound like a cybersecurity expert over there.
Don't make my head too big here or whatever. Yeah, but no, right. It's a fascinating, it's a very, we were talking about an article before, every business, it's somewhere in their psyche, right? What if, right? And you can't, be an ostrich and have your head in the sand, but at the same time, you got to do other stuff. You got to live in the real world. Right. But you got to understand there's hackers living in the hackers world. There you go. Hackers world. Yeah.
Hackers world. Well, that's a term that is used throughout the military.
Okay.
And it states that if you are ready, then you are always ready.
Yeah.
Okay. That is that proactive mindset. That's proactive defense. That's part of the human firewall theory.
Right.
That is having that thinking process in place where you're constantly engaged into cybersecurity, because cybersecurity is ongoing.
Yeah. So
if cybersecurity is ongoing, then it only makes it smarter if normal people are ongoing as well too.
Right.
So it's really kind of makes it easy,
right,
for everybody.
It's kind of like in business terms, it's like you don't rely your entire finances just to your CPA or the finance department. Everybody within the organization should be monitoring, how are we spending money, right? Are we wasting money? And a red flag should appear if the statements aren't jiving, right? Uh-huh. You don't have to rely on the annual review of your statement. You should be monitoring just like your personal bank account. I got a call yesterday. I was doing some withdrawals, and the bank called and said, hey, there's been some suspicious activity. And they actually locked down my account until it was verified by me, right? So transpose that into our topic today about cybersecurity within the school system. One last question. We're running out of time here, but one last question, kind of on topic, but a little different angle to this. Is cybersecurity being taught, at the college level in terms of, a career? And is that built into some of the curriculum, do you feel, at this point?
Well, cybersecurity is taught as a field. Now,
but within, you think universities have a designated, not a degree in that space, right? But is that a course that people can take, cybersecurity 101 kind of thing, right?
You're talking like a user awareness course.
Okay.
I believe most colleges do have it.
Oh, that's cool.
In place, and And I think it should be in place prior to any students using any of the college services.
Right.
A user awareness course should actually be in place as well. Most organizations make sure that individuals go through that 1 hour training on like user awareness. See,
and it should be almost like a test, right? In other words, I'm sure some high schools, middle schools, colleges are probably already doing this. If not, just the aha moment would be like, we're not actually even issuing you your computer or your email address until you've passed this test, right? So you can train them, but what are they retaining, right? They can sit through an hour, but it's like your driver's license, right? You can study for the license, but you don't get handed that license until you pass the driving test. So,
well, you know what? When it comes to training and people will have a lapse.
Right.
So that's where in the phrase PTC,
okay,
and the C at the end, which is your continuous monitoring, comes in place. This is where the eyes and ears are monitoring, the people that have been trained.
Right.
Okay. Now you're trained. Now we trust you, but you know what? We're still going to keep our eyes and ears on you.
It's like a famous president said one time, trust but verify.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Zero trust. With zero.
Proven guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah. The traditional ways was to trust but verify. But as now, we move to a zero trust architect out here. Means that you don't trust at all. So, once an organization moves to that level, I think they'll be a whole lot safe, because with zero trust, like you have a lot of security zones in place. So you're really being authenticated and verified at so many levels.
Right.
Whereas the traditional method means that once you get access, then you was good to go. But now with zero trust, no. We still need to do verifiable checks as you progress through the system and use these applications. Speaking
of good to go, we got to go. All right. On that note,
man.
It's the end of this magical hour here. Yeah. So, Dewayne, it's been a pleasure once again to have you in our Atlanta podcast studios here on the Global Podcast Studios Network. And Rich Casanova here, just adding my 2 cents. And my 2 cents are now up to probably a nickel at this point, right? My education on cybersecurity.
Man, you have enough to go out there to buy yourself a new hacker's hat.
Oh, nice. Well, you definitely have the silver dollar on this topic and subject matter. And speaking of that, again, check out DewayneHart.com. Everything we've talked about on the podcast, his book is available there, links to his YouTube for the live stream, so forth and so on. So rather than giving you all kinds of social media handles and websites and domain, DewayneHart.com. You'll check it out. Everything's there. And we'll look forward to having you back in the studio and your upcoming podcast series.
Okay. Take care.
And again, we'll see you next time right here with Dewayne and Rich. I don't know if that's the name of a show, but yeah, we'll be here.